Hello everyone, welcome back to the Midlands Rugby Podcast. Phil, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good to see your cast list today. Have the cast
Yeah,
on.
got it back. Flexibility is minimal. Pain is high. It's great to be back.
And you've not punched any nurses or doctors this week.
Not this week, no.
A win for the NHS, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our special guest this week, Adam. Adam, how you getting on?
Not too bad, not too bad at all.
As people may notice, Adam sounds slightly the other side of the Midlands to we do. Adams is a hooker at Veseyans, had a fair few different clubs playing at and coaching at. So Adam, do you want to walk us through your career a little bit, or your time playing rugby, if you don't want to call it a career?
Yeah, it's never a career when you're not good enough. Uh, went to secondary school. I tried playing football as a kid, and I was just never any good at that. So went to secondary school. I was a big lad anyway, so they're like, right, you're going into the forward, straight into that sort of setup. Then went to Walsall as a junior, played all through the age groups at Walsall, and then moved to Aston Edwardians, which are counties 3, I think, at the moment below us. Played there purely because I literally lived in the house next door to the rugby club. So, but they just didn't have a mini and junior at the time. So I went there, played a bit there, and then did a stint out in Canada for a while. Moved out to a town called Hamilton, which is just an hour south of Toronto.
Right, okay.
Yeah, did a year out there, just really enjoyed myself and came back, and then just floated around some of the clubs in the local area and finally found myself at Veseyans this year.
Class. Now, we're going to come on to Veseyans, but we've got to ask, Canada, what is rugby like in Canada?
It's interesting. Like there's the top league, which is actually really good. A lot of the internationals play down there. So it's kind of like their stateside. They will play against one of their states and stuff, and then they'll filter down the teams. But then you start getting down to League One, League Two, and it's very similar to our sort of standard. Then,
Right, okay.
This level, yeah, the gaps are ridiculous.
Really?
Oh, it's huge, yeah.
What's a typical Canadian style rugby game?
Failed
in my head, right? I won't, because I doubt we have any Canadians listening to the pod. But they're all either lumberjacks or look like bears, and that's all they do.
So a lot of the front rowers you've described very, very well there. But it's a lot of the boys that don't make American football.
Right.
So the transition on the skills are quite transferable, which is kind of easy for them then.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the programs now, when I was over there, it wasn't great. But then the programs now have really stepped up. I think since they've had a lot of exposure in World Cups and stuff, I think they didn't have anything like remember the old CRCs and stuff that the RFU had.
Yeah.
But they've now got them sort of people in place working for, I presume, the CRU. It's called.
Yeah. So I did a tour of Canada and played against the Ottawa. Is it Ottawa?
Ottawa Indians.
Whatever the state team is for Ottawa.
Ontario.
Ontario, not Ottawa.
Yeah.
What's the state team called?
Ontario.
But have they not got a weird name? Because we played like the Rock, which is obviously Newfoundland.
Yeah, isn't it the blue?
Call them the Otters.
But yeah, so I played that, and we were staying in Toronto, or sort of North Toronto, and I'm sure we played down near Hamilton. Burlington, maybe?
Burlington, yeah. We played against Burlington.
There's it was a really nice clubhouse. It was dead picturesque. I can't remember what it was, but it was lovely. And it was on like ESPN 7 or something ridiculous when we played there. So, but yeah, they had a really good women's setup as well. It was a lovely club.
Well, I bet the Canadians are benefiting from what the Yanks did, because the Yanks reached over to the UK, didn't they, for a load of young players? So I imagine they're now benefiting from those that went over, moved over, and didn't make it in the US leagues, and getting drawn over the border a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think they do the same sort of system in there NFL like type thing. Whereas if they don't make it NFL, the Canadians have got a league of their own as well, which they can then just filter into there. So I presume they're doing the same with the rugby. To be honest, I haven't followed it as much as I should have done since I've left, but I presume it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah. When were you there?
Oh, I think I was 19, 20, so talking 14 years ago.
Yeah, it might have changed a bit. I know they're relatively in the past in Canada, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they might have caught up by now. But how did you find playing in Canada, Phil? Even if it was just a tour, were you with Knots or were you with IOs?
It was an England tour, England Counties tour.
England Counties, fucking cock off, Steve. Then
So it was my last year at uni. I did my last exam in a hotel room in Newfoundland at some ridiculous time. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning. I had to sit this exam. It was horrific.
How pissed were you?
Huh?
How pissed were you?
I not thought it was like the second day we were there, and it was still quite serious at that point.
Fucking boring.
And then it deteriorated rapidly after the first game. But yeah, so we played the Rock in Newfoundland, and it was like -2 while we were playing. It was absolutely horrific. It was so bad. Then we went to Toronto, and I think I've worked out that we played at Beavers and Banshees. Does that mean anything to you, Adam?
Beavers and Banshees. It sounds like
they're called Ottawa Beavers and Banshees.
Oh wow! I swear, my dad used to have a magazine called Beavers and Banshees.
Isn't your dad a priest?
Yeah.
And then we went to Vancouver, which was by far and away my favourite place in the world. I think it was just class.
I didn't get a chance to get out there. I went over to Montreal for a weekend, I think, and then I did the Falls for a weekend. That's pretty special.
Yeah, that is cool, isn't it? Yeah, we did that while we were there. That was a good day. Yeah, Niagara's such a weird place.
Yes.
And naively, we nearly walked across the bridge into the US.
Yeah.
It didn't have a passport or anything like that. Someone goes, by the way, if you go that way, you can't come back into the country. Yeah. And we were like, what do you mean can't come back into the country? He goes, well, that's Buffalo. That's like the USA over there. And we were like, oh. Okay. Didn't go through the turnstile and turn back. But otherwise, yeah.
I wonder how many people have done that. Just gone through and just gone.
Oh, it must be like a regular occurrence for them have to.
Gotta be. Absolutely gotta
have to say it. I didn't realise that it was the US on the other side of Niagara Falls. I never got that far into my geography that was the case.
You just thought the big sign just said us, welcome.
Huzzah.
So bringing it a bit closer to home. So you said you when you come back from Canada, you moved around a few clubs with some player coach roles. We briefly spoke about it before we press record, but what got you into coaching?
I kind of had enough of playing. It was kind of taking its toll on the body and stuff like that. And I took a few sessions. Just like it started off. It was one of the Colts game. Both coaches wasn't available or something, and one of them went, "Yeah, do you mind just giving the lads a chuck on one of their games, just help them out and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, go on, I've got nothing else to do." And then kind of really enjoyed it from there. I was like, "Yeah, this is all right. I can do this. Still be involved in rugby and not feel as ruined on a Sunday."
Is that how you got into it as well, Phil? I know you're not necessarily bored, but
yeah, I've got enough on. No, I've been doing it since I was 19. Started doing it when I was at Knots, doing the community stuff in schools, and then when I left uni, I started doing the first team at Pavs straight away. So I did 2 years in a row there, I think, at first team, and then I've been involved with the Colts or the first team at Pavs ever since.
Was that by accident, though, or had you gone over come back intending to coach?
I guess I was kind of asked by Pat and Miles at the time to come and coach the forwards at Pavs. And And it was great because I'd literally like come out of a Nottingham training session and then just do exactly what I did at Nottingham with the first team of failures that night. It was dead easy.
Yeah, you didn't plan anything. It
But,
must be
no.
really, I mean, go on, Phil, go on.
Yeah, it's just something that I've always done, really. I guess I've been doing it for 15 years, so it's just part of how I've kind of come up through. And I'm not coaching. I'm the highest of coaches at Nat One, and the lowest of coaches down at sort of year 2 at a primary school. So it's quite a vast sort of array of coaching, and takes different skills to do different levels. But no, I've enjoyed most of it.
I heard you weren't invited to the school to do the coaching. Anyway, that's a story for a live pod, maybe live pod. How long, Adam, on the sideline was it before you went, actually, I do want to play again?
So it was probably month and a half. When you go like, yeah, I'm not as bored as I thought. Nah, this is boring now. So I want to get back into it again now.
Did you have the same thing I imagine Phil has when he's injured, and I do as a completely unqualified spectator, is think I can do it better than what's going on the pitch?
100%.
Yeah.
I'm a genius and know it all until I get out there.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you're sat in an armchair, we're all quality. It's absolutely mint. So you're no longer coaching, are you? Is that right?
No, just playing now.
So how's the season been? So you encounter, just for those listening who aren't aware, you encounter these two Midlands West North. There's teams like Burntwood and like Tonians 3s, Bridgnorth 2s, Newport Sullock 2s, Harborne Market Drayton. So there's some recognisable, at least, place names, but also some very recognisable rugby names in there. You finished third.
Yeah.
Not a bad season, considering Burntwood finished top at 89 points and you finished third and 78. How was it? How did you find the season? Did you have a good team out?
Yeah, it was. We had a strong squad, to be fair. We played really well. A lot of the games. There was a few games that really killed us. So when Bridgnorth 2s, Newport 2s, and Luctonians 3s entered the leagues, they obviously recruited really well at the start of the year. And we ended up playing Bridgnorth 2s away at the start of the year. And I think we lost by 10 points or something. They had some big name players playing for them that are obviously trying to make first team at that level or whatever Bridgnorth ones are at now.
Level 5, yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously they lost some players during the season because they just obviously wasn't making the first team squad and stuff. So
there's potential there then that you came across Big Dog.
I'm just having a look.
Adam Sterling plays prop for Bridgnorth 1s and 2s.
Starting number 1.
Did he?
Big Dog, yeah. So Big Dog used to play for us. We used to. I never knew his name was Adam until he left the club.
Great name.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was at 1 for Bridgnorth. You were at 2 for Veseyans. So that could have been quite fun. I imagine Big Dog's quite weird in the scrum, so he may have licked you or something. He's a bit odd.
I can't remember what he looks like. Does he wear a scrum cap with gloves?
He might. Does he wear? I think he does wear a scrum cap. I don't think he wears gloves. Or he didn't wear gloves.
I would not put it past Dog to wear gloves. To be fair.
I wouldn't either. Actually,
yeah.
There was an interesting character at prop that game. I'm sure there was.
Oh,
yeah, that'll be him. Just smiled his way through the entire game, just constantly smiling.
Always 5 minutes behind play, but he's always smiling. Yeah, no, he's a good lad.
One of our best games actually was against Newport 2s at their place. It was a hell of a game. I think we were down by 20 odd points at half time, and we just managed to turn it round, really kicked on, and we ended up coming away from there with 5 points.
Okay.
That's a great place to go in Newport.
Yeah, we played there. When we were in the Midlands, whatever it is now, Midlands 1.
Yeah.
We played there a couple of years in a row. We got absolutely hammered, to be fair, both times. But it's not a bad ground. They've got a good setup now. Obviously put some money into it.
Well, they've just played the is it the North Midlands Tri-Counties Championship there last Wednesday.
right.
They played the final there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was one of the worst conditions I've ever played in
I was
my
going to say,
life.
I reckon it's a place that, as long as the weather's all right, it's good to play at. As soon as it's windy,
Oh, it
it's
was
going to be
horrendous.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah. For those who don't know, it's kind of halfway up a hill,
yeah.
very open on one side. I can't imagine it'd be an enjoyable experience when it's raining.
That was it. It was just coming down sideways, and I think if the game would have started with the conditions that it ended, it wouldn't have been played.
Oh, really? That bad?
It was that, but there was puddles everywhere. It was lads just got in the shower. We come straight in. No one got changed. We just jumped into the shower.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's the sign of a good game, that is.
Looking at some of your results, you scored some points as a squad this year, haven't you? So February the 11th and February the 18th, scoring 81 and 83. That's some hell of a score in there.
When we click, we're frighteningly good. Like, we can really play. It's just doing it all the time. I think we haven't been consistent enough over the whole season. But when we do play, geez, we're frightening at times. You see defenders just standing there going, "We're in trouble here. Like, we don't know what we're doing with." So I presume with you boys, your video and stuff, we've got one of them VOs.
Well,
we do have one. It just doesn't work.
Oh, lovely.
No, yeah, it's something that we definitely need next year. I mean, you've done well as well. I mean, you've drawn with Burntwood.
Yeah. That was horrendous. We had 3 injuries within the first 19 minutes. So we'd used all our subs in the first 20 minutes.
It's a common theme for us this year. That was lose all your subs before half time.
We never took any subs.
Oh yeah, there's that. We spent a lot of this year playing with 17 as well, which makes life a little bit harder on the get go.
Especially when one of them was me.
Yeah.
Talk about this season and how the season's gone. One thing that we commented on before recording started was over message was the Papa John's Cup. Now we've expressed our views on here before, but you seem to be in favour of the Papa John's. Are you in favour of Papa John's or the Papa John's?
Definitely, that helps a lot, doesn't it? Let's face it. They got me at that first bit. To be fair, whatever comes after, I'm pretty good with it.
Doesn't matter after that. Yeah. Papa John's hospital bed. I'll take one. It's fine.
100%.
So, have you played in the Papa John's Cup this year?
No, we had to buy the first round, and our side of the cup. I mean, what have we got down to now? We're already in the quarterfinals, and we haven't played a game yet.
So, for those who don't know, there'll be some names that we recognise on this east part of the Midlands as well. It's Melton Mowbray, Notts Casuals, Ripon, Southam, Spalding, themselves, Wath upon Dearn, sounds lovely, and yeah. So it doesn't look like there's many of them that's played. To be fair, I think there's only 3 games that look like they played. So there was a few buys and a few try-offs that went into that next round. So who is it you're facing in the next round?
We got Melton Mowbray at our place.
No. Team we know well.
I'm hoping they bring the pork pies with them.
Well, to be fair, my partner for my birthday, Chloe, she bought me a pork pie making lesson somewhere in Merton Mowbray. So I'm buzzing for that. So I hope for yourself you get pork pie. How does it feel being in that cup run period again?
It's good to be back in that level of cup, because obviously you got your localised cups. I don't know about you guys, but we've had to pick either the national cup or the local cup. We weren't allowed to do both down here. So
get me started on that one.
Yeah, so we picked that one. I suppose the way we're looking at it, it's 2 games away from playing in, because I think our finals at DMP.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it's 2 games away playing in a really nice stadium.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way we're looking at it, and I think it might be a big day for the club. Maybe put a load of, if we get there and stuff, get the juniors up there, the minis, all that sort of stuff, some buses up there, and see if we can have a good day. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've got 2 games we've got to win first, but it's only 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, we went straight in at quarter final level in Regional 1 Bowl. We lost a close game on Saturday, dropped out, and our final was at six way, so that was kind of the draw on being involved. I think a lot of teams pulled out of our tier of competition.
Yeah.
There was only 8 that entered in the end out of a possible, what was it, 16 or so. So it wasn't well done. I think the thing that put me off from doing the cup was that it's a national, for us, it was a full national cup. So in our thing, we had 3 teams from South London, 2 from like Bristol way. Luckily, Banbury came to us, and the other one in it was our local rivals, West Bridgeford. So it was a lot of travelling, and we've been slightly shafted this year by being in that North East division as well. So we've done a lot of travelling this year. So more travelling wasn't particularly
wasn't thought after, was it?
Something we were looking forward to. But I guess if you guys have played in a relatively regional league like you guys have, the chance to go and play someone different for a while and experience some different would probably actually be quite an entertaining thought.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think our furthest trip was Oswestry. That's not far from the Welsh border, but it's still an hour and a bit, I suppose, on a Saturday afternoon. So it's still not that far. But then I think I was saying to Tom before, like if Redcar was in our group, so for us that's a good 3.5 hours in a car journey. So you're talking 4.5, maybe 5 if things go wrong on a bus. So that would have been interesting for us.
Yeah, I think that was kind of some of the concerns that we had was, one of the teams we had was essentially in Gillingham, so not far from where Tom hails from.
Hey, up the Gills.
For us, that would have been like a 4-hour bus journey or some horrific car journeys.
My mum said she had bacon cobs ready. I was buzzing for it. But there's a lot of trouble, and I guess it might have been a bit different for us if we hadn't started playing teams that we'd not played before. There is an attraction to going to playing at clubs you've never played at before.
Yeah.
But because we've got shafted in the leagues, then we've probably got bored of having to travel all this way to get to a game of rugby. It's
next year it might be different if we're playing the sort of regional 2 level cup. Then maybe it'd be slightly more interesting. I think the thing that's really peed me off is we are playing in our regional cup now, Adam, and it starts on the 29th of April.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so the final's on the 28th of May, and then we get a whole month off before pre-season starts. So that's just perfect. So yeah, thanks to the RFU for organising that. That's been real helpful for us.
And moving away from cups and onto pre-season. So obviously we're at the time of the year that most clubs, if you're not based within the NLD, are starting to think about putting their boots down and starting to plan for next year. One thing that we were quite keen to talk about was recruitment and retention. You've obviously coached as have you, Phil, and you still are. In your eyes, Adam, how important is recruitment compared to retention? Are they both as equally important? And for all the clubs out there or people that are involved in clubs out there who are struggling for numbers, what advice could you give them from what you've done?
I think they're as equally as important as each other. I think to keep hold of the players you've got is just as important as bringing some new people in and stuff like that. So to put a perspective on where we are, I did one of them, the find a game or find a team on the RFU side. Yeah. So within a 10-mile radius of my postcode, there's 24 teams.
Jesus.
So it's like, and that's not including. So when you go through the list, there's like the university sides on there, all that sort of stuff. That was broken down to teams that are just in the league.
Wow.
There's all the teams that are just affiliated and stuff like that. So it just gets horrendous. Yeah. So everybody's fighting over the same pool, and it's really tough. And I think you can see from the clubs round by us who's having the success and who's not really. There's some teams that are just purely a one-side club now, and then there's other teams that get a third team out 2-3 times a month and stuff, and that's a huge success story around by us. If you can get 3 sides out, you're doing really well, really, really well. Because some teams, I've seen it local sides where they don't get a 2s team out, and what's been really good actually is the teams that have got like 7, 8, 9 players and stuff will link up with 2 other clubs, and then they will just go and play a side that's got a team out that week.
Yeah, we've
They
done
end up
similar.
playing each other.
Yeah, we've done similar at age group level. We've got sort of South Notts Barbarians, or West Notts Barbarians, or whatever we've had. I've just done the same search out of interest there in our area. So from my postcode, I am further out of the city than most, but within 10 miles, there's 12 teams. And Pavies are the 4th furthest away for me.
Who's your top?
Bingham, then Mellish, then Southall.
Yeah, fair. You picked well. They are Didier Dogby. So when there's that much for a sport that a lot of people will see as going through a bit of a change with players and stuff. So having 24 clubs or however much, 20 odd clubs in the area, does it ever get to a point where you look at these one team clubs and go, is it not best if you just merge clubs permanently, or that takes a bit of the pride away from it as well, doesn't it, and the tribalism? And
yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I would never want to be in the situation where I'd like to make that call, because I think every rugby club's got a lot of history. So then to suddenly go, right, we're done as a club, let's merge with someone else. There'll be so many like discussions going through of what name, who does what, this, that, and the other, accounts, where's money go, all that. I think it'd just be horrendous. But for the good of the game, I think I listened to one of the podcasts. I think it was the Good, the Bad, the Rugby, and the chief exec on the RFU.
Yeah,
and I think one of his statements said that there's actually too many clubs for the amount of players we've got now.
Yeah,
and it's like, geez, when you hear statements like that, like, I think our sport's in trouble.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Our sport is definitely in trouble, and I think if I had my dad's on the board at Veseyans, and I had an email through today about this tackle height law. Looks like it's definitely going ahead.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to take a lot of players out of the game. I think next season will be very interesting how that's reffed. I've had a few discussions with referees this year, some of which have said they're just going to rock up to a game and tell the lads just to play rugby as they can, and they'll ref that situation as they deem fit. I've got other refs that are saying, we'll be really strict, and anything above that will be this. I think it will ruin the game. Genuinely do believe it will ruin the game, which is a shame, but I can see why they do it, but I just don't think it's necessary. I really don't think it's necessary.
I also don't think it's the right time, being in a place where we're banging on about, not just us, I mean we royally as rugby, that we're banging on about, we've lost this many players since the start of COVID. So then there's half of it feels like the narrative is do everything you can to get people at the club. We'll fund you events to get people at the club. However, we're going to make it harder for people to come and join because of X, Y, and Z. It just seems there's two conflicting narratives. I mean, in your changing rooms, Adam, how's it all gone down with this new tackle height and so
on? I mean, probably. It's not been too bad. I mean, it's quite a young squad anyway we've got, so it's kind of like, well, all right, they've seen changes a lot happening recently, so then it's like, well, it's just another change and stuff. Where I'm one of the oldest in there, and it's kind of like I'm 5'7" anyway, and I struggle to tackle low because I don't like it anyway. So I've got short arms, so I can't wrap them either. But it's like it's just going to kill my sort of game, if you know what I mean. So I mean, I think I'm going on a referees course just to see what they're being told on the 18th of April to see what's going to happen. It's not to get a qualification as much, but it's to see what they're being told and how to referee. So then at least we know what they're being told.
Yeah, That's a good idea, actually, because it's very easy to take exactly what we read off social media and stuff and go, "This is what it is," without actually hear. But we never find out, sorry, unless we ask the question of how is it actually going to be refed and how is it, what's the practicalities behind it? Because actually, you read different articles and I've seen one person get after on social media. Someone I know said he agreed with, or he said the tackle height thing wasn't as bad as people were making out to be, and people instantly got on him because that's what social media is. Because most of it's fucking mongs anyway. But it was on about how it's sternum and then how different angles and danger zones, all this and all that. And I was like, so actually, this is a bloke that's put the effort in, regardless of whether I agree with him or not. He's effectively asked a question by going into the law changes and stuff and had a look. So I think it's probably something that you shouldn't have to sign up on a course to see it, but hopefully if enough people do it, then the RFU will turn around and go, actually, people want to know how to do it properly and release some information, unless you've had to pay to go on the refereeing course, and then they might tell you it's a compulsory £250 course to play rugby.
It was a freebie for me.
Oh, well, there we go then. Perfect. Maybe we'll get you back on the 19th of April. You can talk us through with a nice PowerPoint presentation of where to tackle. Phil, have you got anything else for Adam before we let him go?
Not particularly. I wasn't going to do, asking questions between the ages of 11 and 14 this week. I thought that would be a bit harsh to either one, demeanour him, or two, make it obvious that he's an idiot.
I know what a pentagon was, I'm telling you.
I'm glad you did. I think thank you for coming on, and this is kind of exactly what we want from the podcast. We want to talk to other clubs and get an idea of rugby in the Midlands and kind of help people come together via this podcast. So thank you for making the effort to reach out and get in touch with us. As always, for anyone listening, please do so, and we will surely get in touch via Instagram and get you on.
Yeah, definitely. And it is nice not to have to message people and go, "Do you fancy it?" It's nice when people go, "Oh, do you know what? I can put up with these two tossers for about 45 minutes. I'll go on and have a chat and help grow the game." So, no, really good, mate. Good luck in the cup. Hope it goes well. Help you get to play in a final this season, because finishing third's always good, but it's not quite the top two, is it? So exactly. But good luck in that, and have a good time off after the cup. And Phil, have you got any wise words, Phil, before we go?
No.
2.5 years, 3 years we've been doing this. Not one wise word apart from don't eat yellow snow, and I still don't listen to you. Anyway, come on, boys. See you later. Bye.
Cheers, fellas.